Hello everyone, it is Christine here and I have a really sweet little spring or Easter craft for you today, and it is going to be showing you how you can make your own bespoke little Easter bunny or spring bunny. Beautiful fabric, great way to repurpose fabrics and fabric scraps and old doilies, old handkerchiefs. For those of you taking part in Nana's Travelling Ricrac, you'll see the familiar ricrac and the fabric pieces that I have sent out. So I've made this one as part of that project, and again using vintage embroideries. This was from a tablecloth that had some stains on it but had these bows on it. You'll probably see still a little bit of my friction marker. I haven't erased it with the heat yet, but this is combining a hybrid of the doilies and fabric. So I'll be showing you how to make one with fabric, but first of all I'll just talk you through the different methods I've used for them, because I wanted to give you some varieties, some ideas that you can then adapt yourself. So this one I actually used blanket to make an internal core, because the doily that I was using had these cut out sections. So obviously if I'd stuffed it without having something on the interior, the stuffing would be coming out. So I chose a coordinating coloured blanket. These were some cut-offs that I had from Waverley Mills, and then stitched that all together, and I actually stuffed this one with the cut off bits of the blanket, so it's got a real sort of, I guess, solidity to it. And then once I'd sewn all the blanket together and stuffed it, I then stitched over the cut out pieces and really used a quite thick wool to do over stitching over the edge. So this one has over stitching over the edge. These other ones I've all done where I leave the sort of scrappy edge, because I actually really like that. It adds to the sort of scrappy bunny slow stitch effect. And then I have done a running stitch, but I've used two different lots of threads to do a full running stitch. So it essentially operates like a back stitch, but it's got the variety of two colours. Even on this one I did the same effect, I think, unless I did do a back stitch, but it's a variegated thread. You could also do a blanket stitch. I'm just wanting for these to have a really strong stitch to make sure that the stuffing stays in, particularly if the stuffing is quite robust. In terms of stuffing, I have used the wool blanket. I've used just a regular sort of foam stuffing that I got from the Reverse Art Truck in these two, so they're sort of lighter. This one's heavier, and this one I used my aughts, my threads in it, and so it's given a really lovely, I really like the consistency of this one too. It's firm, but because they're all threads, it's kind of quite meldable. This one tends to be a bit more stiff, and these are just quite spongy. So again, some ideas for there. I've also used my buttons covered, which I cover sometimes with Suffolk puffs. So I make a Suffolk puff and then close it around a button with a shank. Or this one I've used a doily, a little doily section, and stitched it around a shank button. And I've showed those ideas in previous videos. I've then made a little neck piece for this one with rickrac, and likewise with this one, used a pearl button on this. And yeah, this one already had this detail on the tablecloth that I cut this piece of linen out from, and then on this side, just to coordinate with these little bits, I have crocheted, just done a finger crochet, a little collar, and stitched that on so it coordinates nicely. So you don't have to think about having the same on the back and the front. Obviously that's what I've done here, but on this one I used another piece of my hand painted, it was an old pillowcase, and this was a handkerchief that I had also hand painted with diluted down acrylics. So many possibilities. I think it would look great with some of those little cross-stitchy style tablecloths, the ones that are quite colourful. I was looking for one that I was happy to cut up, but I didn't sort of find it, but I figured 4 bunnies is enough to start with for showing you, and then I'm going to show you the process over here. So let me put my bunnies to the side, and I'm going to use this fabric, which is a vintage, beautiful vintage. It's got a nice little texture. What's that called? I've forgotten that. Actually, it will come back to me. Not gingham, seersucker, that's the word I want, seersucker. And I've got this template. Now I'll put this template up on our Slow Stitching Friends Facebook group. I'll also put it up in my posts section of my YouTube page. And I'll scan it in on an A4 page so you can print it out at this size. And so what you have to think about is you have to think about one side of your outer fabric. So this is my outside piece of fabric. It's a faded colour on the inside. One side is going to be your front. And then what it means, and the way I like to do it, so this is now the back of my other piece of fabric that I'm going to cut out from. So if this is a front and that's a front, the bunny is going to have to be cut out this way for it to work so that the two pieces can go together. So that's how I work it out. And then you can kind of position your bunny where you want it to catch what flowers, etc., if you're using a fabric or a doily. And then I get my friction marker and I draw around it. So we go around, just making sure my camera was orientated the right way. I'm sitting out in the beautiful yard. There's just a nice breeze blowing through, but it's a beautiful day. There are some clouds around, but the sun is peeking through. And very shortly, I'll be off to the Southeastern Contemporary Art Network for our meeting and then the opening of our exhibition, where my first piece of fibre and textile art will be showing. So that is super duper exciting. So yep, that's the back. And so use nice sharp scissors and you're going to cut around. Now you could also do this by the method where you sew it inside out and then turn it out. I actually like the scrappiness, so that's what I'm showing you. But obviously you could adapt it. You might have to adapt the design slightly if you were doing that, but I think this shape's perfect for the style that I'm showing you. And it's quite simple, like these don't take very long to do, so you could definitely get a few of these whipped up in time for Easter if you wanted them for Easter, or even just as little gifts for friends. I think they'd make a lovely piece of decor if you pick something out that's in your friend's favourite colours. And yeah, think about the fabric you use, because some fabrics do fray a bit more, and so you might just need to, when you're sewing it, just give yourself a bit more of a margin so if it frays the stitches don't come out. That certainly was the case with the floral fabric, which is part of Nana's Travelling Ricrac. It does have a bit of a propensity to want to sort of fray around the edges, whereas this fabric seems pretty good. Like I haven't tried stitching it yet, but I think it's going to behave pretty well. And don't worry if you think your two pieces aren't going to be exactly cut out the same, because through the process of sewing it and stuffing it, it takes care of that. And if we find there's any edges that just aren't aligning, we can also give it a trim after we've got it stitched together. So I hope you are having a lovely weekend. I'll hopefully be putting this video up this evening on Saturday evening. Going out tonight with my parents in advance of my birthday, because my birthday's on Monday, and Monday will be a standard working day, and we have quite a lot going on at work at the moment, so celebrating on the weekend. I might even get to open my presents tomorrow, so I can have a nice little leisurely opening rather than a rush on a working Monday morning. We'll see if Travis and Alex allow that. I've got some lovely packages that friends have sent me, and I've been saving up some of the things that I've also received in the mail to have as my birthday openings. Because really, at this sort of point in life, there's not a great deal that I need for, and the things that I kind of desire for, I tend to pick them up as I see them, because often they're things that I'm getting vintage, secondhand. And so, yeah, it's nice to save a little stash to open on a special occasion. I tend to do that in the lead up to Christmas and also my birthday. I did buy some more of the Waverley Mills blanket packs because they had a special sale on their crafter packs. And I've actually used most of the blankets I got last time. I've given quite a few away to folks at workshops I've been at or retreats. So time to restock, and it'll be fascinating to see what colours and selections are in there. Last time I think they were mixed packs that also had sort of recycled goodies. Sorry, my bit of my fabric scrap has blown away. I'll just pick it up. But this time, yeah, they're pure all wool and not recycled. They're merino. I think they're all merino wool actually. So I'm just blowing my nose. Always when I sit outside, it makes my nose run. So what we then do is match our two pieces together, and it's good if you have any of these quilty clips, or you could use other clips, or you could use pins, but you know I'm not a lover of pins, and pins are not a lover of me. So move the book out of the way, and we're just going to sort of pin it together because it will just help us as we start. Now I usually start up at the ears because then I figure I can stuff the ears while they're easy to stuff, because I actually like to stuff it a bit as I go. Just find it helps me a bit. So just get them lining up as much as possible, but as I say, don't sort of die in a ditch over it. Keeping an eye on time as well. I have to make this video in 2 parts, that's a-okay. And then we're going to select some thread. So I thought I would use this pinky red and this greeny colour. So I might start with the pinky red. Get a decent quantity of it. So this is just, yeah, doing the fabric one. If you were to do the one like the blanket doily one, that was where I cut out the blanket first and stitched and stuffed that, and then put the doily over the top and just sort of pushed the blanket in if I needed to in any spots. Now I've got my lovely little birdie from Chris from the Fleur Woods retreat, who's become a dear friend. Cheerio, Chris, if you're watching this. So lovely to, yeah, sort of chat online and keep the connections going post a workshop. So I'm just going to pop through and secrete the knot that I put in the end of the thread just into the middle, and I usually just sort of tuck it so it is sitting more in the middle, and then it starts to get held back by the stitches. And then we can just start doing a running stitch. Now you can do the running stitch where you sort of gather it all up on your needle and go up and down multiple times. This fabric is, I think, because it's a nice tight weave, it's just a little bit harder to push through, so I think I'll probably, and also the thread is thicker as well, so I'll just do it this way. Oops. So we'll just stitcheroo, see how we go. And so yeah, just doing a running stitch first, because then we're going to come and fill in the gaps with the contrasting colour. Now you could do it all in the one colour if you like, but I just think using a contrasting just adds some more fun and interest. And as you can see, I'm just stitching a little ways into the fabric, not too close to the edge. Let's see if I can do a bit of that stitching where you go up and down and up and down. Might be okay. Sometimes I think it's almost as quick just to be popping up through. Alex has taken Travis out for a walk. I took Travis earlier on, and then Travis was looking expectantly at Alex like, "Dad, it's Saturday, take me out." Poor Travis has had a little bit of an irritation on his behind, on his back end. not his very back end, but the sort of, yeah, the back where his fur is. He had really flaky skin when we got home from holidays, and it sort of, yeah, got flakier and quite irritated. So I took him to the vet, and the vet, as part of diagnosing if there was any sort of residual like parasite or anything there, has shorn off the whole, well, not the whole back area, but a large area on the back. The good thing is that, yeah, the vet has confirmed no parasites present, no bacteria present, so that it was actually healing up. But yeah, it's shorn and it has had funny little sort of like skin flakes on it, but it's, yeah, getting much better. But he looks worse for wear, but he is his usual very happy self. Sorry, my thread keeps catching on the side of the table out here because it kind of blows with the wind. I probably should actually make the tail a bit longer. So what else to tell you? I think that's about it. Very excited for today. Great to be the last time the Southeast Contemporary Art Network had their monthly meeting. I was heading up the road to the Southern Highlands for Fleurwood's retreat. So in fact that means that was a month ago that we were travelling up to Burrawang, Robertson. And it won't be until May next year. Workshop starting, or the retreat starting, on May the 4th. But I think it's probably all booked out because all the ladies from last retreat, I think, have pretty much booked in. I think there's maybe only one or two that I haven't seen in the chat saying that they're definitely booked, but they may have booked anyway, and it'd be so lovely if it's, yeah, the same crew. It'd be such a lovely bunch to hang with. I mean, I think anyone's going to be lovely in this creative world because that's what I've found. So much kindness, so much fellowship, so many kindred spirits. We are a tribe. A tribe in the best way. An open and welcoming tribe, I would like to think of us. So what I might do is I'll get the ears done probably and show you the stuffing, because then maybe you don't need to watch the entire process. So I'm thinking it might get tedious for you watching me go all the way around, stitching all the way, but we shall see. But basically any of the small areas, I like to get those sort of, yeah, stuffed, and then it's the big body bit that's much easier to sort of stuff at the end. But obviously don't stitch all the way around and not leave yourself a place to stuff through. The number of times I've done that when I've been doing projects, I get carried away and keep stitching, and then get to the point where you're like, oh, where am I going to put the stuffing in? Let's tap the screen, make sure I am staying in focus. So yeah, I'm hoping to get some video at the exhibition today to show you all. I was absolutely thrilled because I saw the brochure for the flyer for the exhibition, and they had selected my piece, a photo of my piece amongst 3 photos for the flyer. So I was absolutely stoked. So thrilling. I'm sure for some who have been exhibiting for a long time, that might kind of just be like, oh yeah. But for me, it's all new and exciting, and I'm just embracing and enjoying every moment of it. And soon the Berwick Easter Fair will be on, and so the gallery is in a broader precinct where that is being held, so I believe people from that will be going along and seeing the exhibition also. So I might finish the pink stitching off there. I'll tie it. I will tie it off just so that it's not kind of hanging around while I demo. Normally I'd probably leave it going, and then you can just sort of, continue your way along. but I don't want to get it caught while I'm demoing, so I'll just leave that end, which I can end up tucking into the piece later. And then I'll change over to my green perle. So these are vintage. This one's a vintage Semco. You would have heard me talking about Semco in my recent embroidery transfers, vintage embroidery transfers video. Based in Melbourne. One of the companies that sort of moved out from the squalid city to beautiful garden suburbs. So there was a whole garden suburbs movement in Melbourne. I'm trying to get sort of industry to move out to give workers a better quality of life and less commute time, which is probably still relevant today. So now what I'm going to do here, if I can, without being too clumsy, is I'm going to pop my needle inside and just try and secrete the knot that I'll be having at the end inside the fabric. So I've just got to make myself a little pocket where I can pass my needle out. There. Let's start it over here-ish, about there. And so then we're just going to stitch down here. And I think Travis has returned from his walk with Papa. And we'll get our bunny ears stitched. I'll show you how to stuff those, and then that might be all I film for now. I'll then get ready to head off to the meeting, because I think we also take along a piece of our our work in progress artwork as well. I don't know if there's some sort of show and tell, but they said bring an artwork as well. So I'm thinking I'll bring my Fleur Woods inspired, beautiful colour, Frida Kahlo inspired, colourful slow stitch piece, and that way also I might be able to just sort of stitch away on it while we're in our meeting. So I must admit, I do like to keep my hands busy, and I can stitch and definitely listen at the same time. So I'm just now filling in the gaps, basically. So on both sides, you then get a continuous set of stitches, which helps to hold the stuffing in, but they're alternating in. So I'm basically going and filling the gaps on each side, which works when you've got a running stitch. So it's nice, easy stitching on this piece, something you could definitely do while watching a movie or watching some videos. Here's Travis. I don't know if you can see him. Come over here, Travis. I'll just swing you around. You can say hello to Travis. He's having a little bit of a sniff of me. I think he's saying, Mum, what you doing? Oops, and my stand was just trying to bobble over. Hopefully, now I'll just need to readjust. I need to move you back onto a solid surface again. Hopefully that's right. Just move it back. Got some little tiles at the end of the table, so I feel like you're a bit crooked now, but that's okay, we'll get there. Right. Travis has been and gone. He's like, yep, that's my mum. It's funny, he gives me a sniff just to make sure I'm not an imposter. He's probably like, who's this person out at the table? What have you done with my mother? Or maybe he was smelling himself because he was sitting on my lap before, so he's like, smells of Bobo. Oh, that's me. He definitely loves his smelling. When I take him for a walk, he's just sniff, sniff, sniff everything. But it is their version of social media. They don't have their devices, but they do have their noses. In fact, he did. I took him down to the river earlier on, and he did actually have a quick dip. But then I had to apply his medicated stuff for his skin on the back, and then luckily most of his little flaky skin bits are almost gone. So just wanting to keep the area clean and make sure it all heals properly. And I can see the fur is starting to try to grow back, which is good. Alex was joking that I'll have to stitch him otherwise a little bunny backside for Easter. We're hosting lunch. No one in the family needs to see a bare-backed doggy. He's actually going to go and hang out with with Alex's parents tonight. Yeah, we're going out with my parents for my birthday. So Travis will get some nonna and nonno time. Going to go out to a lovely Greek restaurant near Mum and Dad's. They do lots of beautiful shared platters of seafood and meat and salads, falafel. Travis has come back. You want to say hello to your fans, Travis? You say hello? So, yep. So now I'm going to go and see what else I can find around in the garden. So I'm going to just check, do a bit of guard dog patrol. He's very good. If anyone sort of comes near the perimeter, even though he's not at all, he couldn't be vicious if he tried really, but he will definitely give them a bark to let them know that he's monitored them. But he's not a dog that will just stand there and bark at the gate or anything. It will only be when someone's coming into the vicinity. Isn't it, Bobo? Let's come back here to look at me. Give him a little pat. Yeah, you're a good boy. You are. You're a very good boy. I wonder what park Daddy took you to. Maybe to the Botanic Gardens, I'm thinking, which are lovely. In fact, Bobo, if you had have looked across if you're at the top area, you could have looked right across to here. We're on a hill, and then the Botanic Gardens are on the sort of opposite hillside in the distance. We've never quite been able to see and identify the house exactly, but we kind of know the broad area where it is. And I'm getting excited about Easter time when I've got my nephew coming to visit from Western Australia. So he'll be flying over solo and we'll be picking him up, and he'll be here for Easter, and we'll take him to the Easter fair and take him to Science Works, and we'll have obviously Easter day, Easter lunch here. Do a little Easter egg hunt, so I do need to go out probably this weekend and get the Easter eggs organised. So that's the ears done. So I might also just put a little knot in, actually. Take it down to there. And then I can show you the process of stuffing. And again, don't worry if it sort of crinkles up a little bit. You can usually straighten it out, but a little bit of crinkling just adds to the charm, I say. That's what I say. Okay. So again, I'll just leave myself a short end that I can use to put it back in with. Then we'll get some of our reclaimed stuffing. But as I say, if you don't have stuffing, think about how you might be able to use your orts or like your leftover threads, or if you have blanket bits, even bits of fabric, just play around, see what texture you like and go from there. So what I like to do is get a clean, but I've been using it to do the stuffing, cotton bud, or something that's got a soft end on it. In fact, you could also use like your friction marker, because that's got a rounded end on it. When I say soft, I mean something that's not going to kind of poke through your fabric. And you're going to just want to ease it up, and sometimes if you have too much it will kind of block a bit, so I'll probably just slim this down a tiny bit, try and not have my fluff roll blow away on me. And so you just want to get it so that it does go sort of as far up as you want it to go. Doesn't have to be perfect, but you just want to make sure it's not going to be kind of floppy when you're done. But I'm pretty happy with that. And then I'll put a bit more in that ear. And so yeah, the ears I like to get done because they are just that little bit harder to stuff than probably all the other parts. So I do suggest start with the ears, but up to you, of course. Never going to tell you how to do it, and I hope you always feel you can take an idea and play with it, run with it, make it your own, gifted freely with joy and with love to you. And I hope if you do celebrate Easter that you're excited and got some lovely plans, or if you're celebrating spring. Obviously it's not spring here, it is it's autumn and coming into that cooler time of year, but I still like to kind of have those springy vibes. I still like to have the motifs for Easter and this time of year that have that brightness in them. because it is still a lovely weather-wise, it's a lovely time of year. We get these sort of cooler mornings, but sunny, bright, beautiful days, but not the extreme heat. Although I did see on the weather forecast this week, I think we're back up to 31 by the end of the week, which is quite hot for autumn. But it is the way of the world. So as you can see, I've got some nice stuffing done there, and so I just make sure that I get to the point that I'm happy that I've got enough kind of forming a nice little sort of bridge there, because you don't want to ultimately end up with this being floppy and sort of, well, unless that's the effect you want, but I like to have enough there that I know it's going to sort of hold and be upright. So I will just stuff an extra little bit, even though we haven't done the further stitching. I just want to get that nice and well stuffed. So I'm pretty pleased with that. So all I'm going to do is keep stitching around. I will probably, I think I'll just come down here. This is what I did on my other ones. Come down, obviously have them all lined up and clipped back together. Come around here and come around here. And to here, and then usually at this point I will then stop and stuff the feet and the tail and most of the body, and then with it mostly stuffed, I'll then sew up here, and then when I get to the face I'll put the final stuffing in and stitch it. But maybe I'll come back and just do that final step with you and show you the finished product. I can probably stitch this when we're driving down to dinner tonight, and then that way later on I can just film the finishing. Okay, so I am back. It's the next day. I ended up having a lovely time down at the opening of the art exhibition, and then by the time I got home it was almost time to head out for dinner. So I didn't finish making the video then. What I will do is put some photos that I took from the opening of the art exhibition at the end of this video if you want to see them. But I'm going to now finish making this rabbit with you. I'm going to show you how to make one of these lovely little covered buttons for the little sort of collar piece, and I'm going to use a vintage embroidery for that. It's got some staining on this, so I don't mind cutting it up. So what I've done is just sewn around up until this point. So I usually do the ears first, and then I do this next section, and I stuff the tail, the leg, and the leg first, and then I stuff the body, and I do that again just with that double running stitch. So one row of running stitch and then filling it in with the other colour, so you get a continuous on both sides. So all we now need to do is to put a little bit more stuffing. I usually sort of partially stuff the head before I do the sewing, just so it's sort of got a little bit in there, and then it makes it easier to finish off. I've got these bits of thread that I haven't yet actually finished with, so let me pop those back into the piece. I could actually, what I might do, actually no, I'll take them each in individually. So to do that, if you have sort of done something similar, I've got a knot. Hang on, let me just deal with this little needle over here. So what we'll do is thread our needle. Might need to cut the end of this one because it's going all puffy. Nope, we're okay. So I'll actually just take this one just back into the fabric through a slightly different hole. Take it into the inside, and then this one from this side I'll take back into the inside, and then we can actually tie them off against each other, which is just another little technique you can use if you've got sort of ends at a point. So just take that back into there, to the middle, and then I'll just put my noodle down. Should be using my little beautiful pincushion from Chris. And then I'm just going to tie them off on the inside, and then we can secrete the end inside as we finish stitching it off. I'll leave a bit of a tail so that we can easily poke that inside with the stuffing. I've just dropped out a bit of stuffing down onto the ground. Just pop that in there. Just get a bit of that down there because it's easier to stuff now. And then I will re-thread back up my needle. So beautiful Sunday morning here, a little bit of cloud in the sky, but mostly blue skies. We're going to probably head up into the Dandenong Ranges with Travis and go for a walk, probably at the Alfred Nicholas Gardens, which are beautiful, all ferny and sort of rainforest, well, not rainforesty, but foresty and mossy and fungi, which you know I love, being a fungi fancier. So what I'll do is just come back and put an extra stitch where the last green stitch was, and I just like to do that if I am kind of bringing another piece of thread in, just to make sure that it's all well held together. So I'm repeating over that last green stitch, and then I'm just going to hold it all together and make my way up. And again, just making sure your stitches are indented a bit from the edge of the fabric. Even though this fabric doesn't fray that much, I can see there's a tiny bit of sort of fraying. It travelled with me in the car yesterday in a bag when I went down to dinner with with my parents, with Alex. And Travis had a lovely time at Nonna and Nonno's while we went out for dinner. We didn't go to a dog-friendly restaurant this time. So Travis had Nonna and Nonno and Nonna time, which I think he gets very spoiled there. I think he actually had a third dinner last night. Normally he gets 2 from us. We separate his dinner into 2 meals, so he has one at 5:30, one at 6:30. But with Nonna and Nonno, when we got there, he hadn't had his second meal that we'd left for him, and he was looking quite full already. So I think he might have had extra special Nonna treats. Nonna said, "Oh no, I only gave him 6 bits of pasta." I don't know. We still have, we all laugh about it. We were in Japan on holidays with Alex's brother and sister-in-law, and we phoned home to the parents, to Nonna and Nonno, Alex's parents, and Dante, which is Max and Ellie's dog, was with them, and we were chatting away to them, and they said, no, we're just feeding him what you left for him. And then they thought they'd hung up the phone, and then we heard Nonna say, "Now they're gone, I can give you some extra biscuits." And so yeah, clearly Nonna was up to no good. But she loves her animals, and Alex and I joke that she probably loves Travis more than she loves Alex. I'm sure it's not true, but they absolutely adore Travis and Dante. Dante is a little cavoodle, little old man now, but beautiful little boy. So I won't go all the way to the end. I'll leave that bit of thread hanging, and then I'll grab a bit of my other thread. So yeah, it was so lovely at the exhibition. Really lovely to meet some more of the network, the Southeast Contemporary Art Network. Met another fibre and textile artist, which was so lovely, and saw some of her pieces in the exhibition too. It was nice. They'd made a little fibre and textile corner of the exhibition. But then there was a lady that does more sort of contemporary lace work and crochet and other things. So she had some works there as well. I don't think she was there yesterday, but her works were there. So it'll be nice to get to know everyone. But just such impressive works in the exhibition. So feel really honoured to be part of it and starting a really exciting new adventure. Now Travis has decided to grace us with his presence as well, which is lovely. Oops, and he's obviously heard someone at the back gate, so he's just going to do some defence of the dark arts, as we call it. Probably a dog is passing by, so he's saying move on. But he's pretty good. He does like a couple of barks and then he is done. I think he's very eager to head out on our morning walk. He kind of hears Alex and I talking about where we're going, and then he picks up on it, and then he's kind of a bit restless, a bit of FOMO. Not that we really ever leave him behind. It's the odd time when we go out to a non-doggy friendly restaurant, but he'll always be with other humans anyway. But otherwise, we plan our weekend outings around Travis. He can even come to my art gatherings, although I didn't take him yesterday. But Bowie the dog was there with Steve, who's one of the print makers. Here you are, Travis. You coming back to say hello to the folks? You gonna come over here? No, he doesn't. He's feeling a bit camera shy today. He's just looking up at me, but doesn't want. I won't swing the camera around because I'm sure I'll end up making it unbalanced again like I did yesterday. plane going overhead. So we'll get this done and then we'll make our little bobble for the necklace. And in fact I don't think I've brought it down. I had just finger crocheted a little chain for the neck, but I suppose I can do one of those with you as well. I think we should still have time left in this video. So I'll take this one up to here and then we'll get some more stuffing off my stuffing from the reverse art truck. Oh, and I met another lady at the exhibition yesterday who makes amazing sculptures from sort of reclaimed, repurposed products as well. So that was cool. She didn't have any works in the exhibition, but she showed me some of her creations on the phone. And we've got a challenge for the next month, a challenge word that we can work on over the next month and then share at the next meeting. And then there's also a exhibition coming up that I think I'll put a piece in for, which is Beatle Mania, so inspired by Beatles songs. So I was having a little ponder on that last night and I've come up with an exciting idea for that. I think I'm going to do an octopus garden in one of my sort of nature's textiles styles. And I'm just thinking how I create the octopus. I was either also contemplating doing like a collage style fabric octopus, because we can put dimensional pieces in. A lot of them will be working on canvases all of the same size, but at the meeting yesterday they said nope, dimensional pieces are fine, they don't have to be on a canvas. So I think the other fibre and textile artist, she's also going to be doing one, so it'd be good to hold up the side on that. So I think so you can basically put as much stuffing as you want in, but I'm happy with that amount of stuffing, I think. So just need to close it up now. As easy as that. I shouldn't say that because I'll probably end up knotting it or stabbing myself, or it's like we should knock on wood, shouldn't we, when we say that, but I don't even know if this table is real wood or sort of manufactured wood, repurposed wood. And it was the end of daylight saving last night, so we did get an extra hour apparently, although I kind of woke up pretty early, which was good because I was able to join for Annie Claxton's live show on YouTube, which is always fun. Everyone gets together, lots of laughter. I think Annie had a few tipples, so she was extra funny. Doing various singing and dancing, so that was fun. You can always watch that back over on her channel. And then my lovely friend Sally had her workshop yesterday making her beautiful spring Easter bunting. I was lucky to see a very early and hear about that early, because Sally and Christy and I catch up sort of once a week for an online chat and share of what we're doing. So I had early visibility. So she's been working on that for a good while, and I think she'll be sharing a video after the workshop as well, which I can't wait to see. Because her spring Easter bunting is absolutely gorgeous, and it'll be great to hear about the workshop. I have seen a little glimpse on, I think, YouTube. She posted about the workshop and how well it went, which I have no doubts about, because Sally does such lovely preparation for her workshops, and comes up with these really beautiful projects for her workshop participants to do. And our friend Christy is going to be heading over for the May workshop, so it'll be so nice that Sally and Christy get to meet up and be in person. As I said to both of them, I'm sure one day we'll all get to be in the one place, one way or another. We'll work something out. It's funny because you get to know these people online. I shouldn't say these people, you get to know friends online, and it does feel like you've known each other for a long time, and it does feel like you actually meet up, so you don't kind of think in your head that you haven't met until you actually do, and then you're like, oh, you're taller or shorter or something than what I imagined from the screen. I know we find that at work if we've only dealt with someone online, and then you kind of meet them, sometimes you're like, oh, is that how tall you are? Obviously don't say that to anyone because some people are sensitive about their height. So there we go, I've just secreted the end back into my bunny. And what we can now do is make the little button. I'm just going to blow my nose because it always ends up getting a little bit runny when I'm sitting out in the cooler air, because it's definitely cooler times at the moment, even though it's going to get warm by the end of the week. And so I think I'll use, I think I'll use a Suffolk puff this size, maybe slightly bigger, I'm not sure. So I can probably do it from the back. And I've got my friction marker somewhere here, there we go. So I'll just, actually I can just cut around it, can't I? Yes, I'll do it that way. Here's the top, so I've marked a little top on the top of my, and you can do a Suffolk puff just by cutting out a circle, you don't have to do this method, and if you do just cut out a circle, you're just going to do a running stitch to gather it up all the way around the outside. Happy that that's pretty central? Yeah, I am. I'm very happy. That was a very lucky getting it central. So just going to cut out and leave a bit of a gather around. I heard Sally saying she likes using vintage handkerchiefs or even just sort of not super vintage handkerchiefs as her Suffolk puff material, because they're so fine and so they make a really lovely sort of not too heavy Suffolk puff, which is a great idea for your stitching projects, particularly if you're putting it in a stitch book or something like that. So with this I'm just going to pop up through, and I managed to pull the end through, so I'm just not going to give it quite such a pull this time. And you go through the first hole of these Suffolk puff makers twice. But as I say, if you didn't, oh, we've got a knot already. What are we doing, Christine? Good, we've fixed it up. And then we're just going to work our way around, going up and down through each of the holes. So this definitely makes it easier, but you absolutely can just cut out a circle and then basically do a running stitch around the outside, and it will give you the same effect. It just won't be possibly quite as regular in the gathering, but yeah, sometimes when I can't be bothered going and grabbing my Suffolk puff makers, like the other day when I couldn't actually find them, this one I just made, this one that you can't see, this one I made freehand because I had misplaced my little bag with Suffolk puff makers, but I found them after it. So we'll just go around here. So I went out to the bakery this morning and got some yummy baked goods. So we had we shared a ham and cheese croissant and an almond croissant for breakfast. And we've got the lovely bakery. They make a pork and fennel sausage roll and a lamb korma pie for lunch. So I'm kind of extending my birthday celebrations all weekend. We'll get some yummy takeaway. I think we'll get some Sri Lankan and some seafood tonight from two different restaurants, but they're in the same little, in the Berwick main centre. Have a very good fish shop and a very good Sri Lankan. Am I back to the, I think I've gone round more than, yes, I've gone past the start, but that's okay. We'll go with that. So I'm now going to clip it out. That's what happens when you're busy talking to friends. You lose track of what you're doing. Oops, and I'm actually got my needle through a hole. That's okay. Let's just take ourselves back through. So what I'm now going to do is find where I put my button, which is over here. And I'm going to put that on my button. Possibly should have used the next Suffolk puff size maker up, but I think it's going to end up okay. I might just have to sort of, I probably should have gone for one size up, or I might end up selecting a smaller button actually, but I don't have one with me right now, because normally you'd want this bit where you put the stitches in to actually be sitting a bit further back on the piece. Actually, I'm going to use a piece of stuffing rather than a button and show you something different, because that way if you don't have a button but you have some stuffing, let's do this. See, everything always has a reason for doing what it does, and that might be too much stuffing as well, so let's just go halve that. So it gives us another possibility. Nothing's ever a mistake in our world of creation. And that might be a nicer size anyway. Yes, I think that's going to be good. And so I'm going to tuck the endy pieces in to the middle. Like that. And then that's going to be, oh, that's going to be so lovely. I'm actually really happy with that choice. So you just pull it. I'm using a really strong cotton, and that's another, this one's a Gutermann. It's called Gutermann quilting cotton, somewhere maybe, polyester, Gutermann made in Germany. I thought I had some that said like quilting or something, but yeah, really strong. I got a bunch of them secondhand at the Embroiderers Guild D-stash a few D-stashes ago. So yeah, here you go. If you don't have a button of the right size and you've made a smaller Suffolk puff like this one, perfect. You can stuff it just with a lovely piece of stuffing. And then what I'd usually do at this point, if I'm going to be putting it on something, is I'll just do a few stitches across the back as well. So that's how that little one looks, which is very cute. I think that's going to look super sweet. And I'll show you then how I just quickly crochet a little finger crochet. Don't need a crochet hook, don't need to know how to crochet. This is actually something I think my fourth grade, year 4, grade 4 at school taught me. We loved that teacher. She was fun. She called it finger crocheting. I guess it is a form of crochet. I don't crochet, so I'm not exactly sure. But basically you're going to make a little loop like that, and then you're just going to keep putting through with your fingers and making another loop. Now you will need to kind of tighten it back up as you go, otherwise you end up with huge loops. And I'm just using the two colours that I've used for the outside, so it sort of stays coordinating. And so yeah, I'm just going to do this all the way, just to make a little neck piece for the bunny. Oops, my phone is saying it is low on battery, so that might be a sign that we need to be finishing. Let's tie it around our bunny. Just make sure that it all sits nicely. Yes, it does. So that's good. And we'll attach it on here. Which side do we want? It doesn't really matter, does it? So we'll do our bunny this way. Oops, I've got a thread. So I'll just go through, and I'll probably attach it into the bunny itself as well, just to get it to kind of sit down a bit. And I might even go through to the other side just to kind of get the little button to really nestle into the bunny. And this will be under the collar on the other side, so it won't really matter. So like, I'll just do one or two more. I'm just worried that my phone's going to conk out of energy. So as I finish this, I'll say thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll tie it off properly once I'm off video, and yeah, I hope you make some of these bunnies. Let me know if you're going to have a go. Thank you, everyone.